Hi there. Alright, so this is going to be a segment, or not even a segment, something I want to do like a project. I'm going to be calling it Not Really Talking. For a little while I've been playing with the idea of having a podcast, but I figured I'd want to have it in video form, just because I already have a channel. It's convenient. The webcam on this camera, the webcam on my computer is a lot better than my previous one, and every now and then I might film it with my DSLR, but right now the battery is drained on that, so this is what it's going to be for a couple different episodes maybe. I definitely want to bring in people from time to time. Some of them will have themes, sometimes it'll just be talking for the sake of talking. But today I want to talk about the black experience, college, race, just a couple of little points within those things. I guess throw in my opinion, because I don't know everything. No one does. But the best way to learn something is to kind of just talk about it, have a discussion. Because like they say, everyone else knows at least one thing you don't. So listen. I will start off. The first bullet point I had was college and the black experience. I am 18. I am a freshman in college. My college experience has just started, so there's not a lot I can say right there. But my life as a young black man in America, I, for the most part, was raised most of my life in California. I was a military brat, though, so I've been around several different communities, but California is where I stayed the longest. One of my main concerns earlier, like in my senior year of high school, was where am I going to go to college? And I thought I would stay in California for the longest time, until my senior year, where I realized that would not be good for me. Because growing up where I did, I was one of few black students, and one of very few black people in my community. And I became aware of just how not bad that can be, but how limiting that is, and how much that can affect who I can be and my potential. Because when you grow up somewhere where you don't see a lot of representation of who you are or who you recognize to be in the people around you, or even in the media that gets fed to you via the systems that you're in, like the educational system and just all the things that are around you, it affects you. It really does. And I remember times where, well, in the area I lived in, I did have to deal with a lot of racism, and it kind of jumps in degrees of how serious it was. But I feel like there's a certain experience every black American has, and they go through similar things, but each and every one of us has our own experience, our own perspective, based on who we are, what's around us, and basically just how we were told to act. Now, growing up in a suburb outside Los Angeles, I grew up around a lot of well-off white people. There was a lot of, at least in later years, a lot of hipster culture and a lot of appreciation for different cultures that were definitely not, they weren't something you would take advantage of. Appropriation of a culture is something that's, a lot of people debate about it. But seeing outside of that, I felt odd seeing all these people who were dipping their hands into other cultures, but then turning their back on them and making fun of the people who were actually a part of them. I can't count the number of times that I've seen, like, people from my old high school who would be just bumping Jay-Z or Biggie or something, and I would go, oh, hey, that's a nice song, or I know that song, did you listen to blah, 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 like, I'm trying to relate to this person, and they've ignored my attempt to have a conversation and commented on how I sound white, or if they did talk back to me, they would say, "Oh, of course you listen to this because you're black." "Oh, well, I don't really listen to much of this. It's kind of stupid." I feel like there's a certain layer of menace that comes from ignorance in statements like this, because sometimes they're said because they're meant, but sometimes they're said because there's no other information coming into their realm of just mental being. When you're fed from an early age all these stereotypes, all these negative viewpoints of other people, it grows to become you. And I didn't want something of a similar nature to happen to me if I stayed in California. I didn't want to be angry all the time. I didn't want to be discontent with how I was being treated. And I didn't want to go through whatever system is set up there in the different college campuses. Like, for example, I applied to UCLA, UC Irvine. Those are mainly Asian-dominated schools, and there's a lot of issues that go on in both universities as far as like us versus them mentalities amongst like white and Asian students. And I know the University of Irvine has had a couple of issues with black students and things being said back and forth between the two different groups that mainly get at it. But senior year, I decided I'm going to Missouri. I'm going to Missouri, and my friends and family said, "Why?" And I said, "I don't know, except they have a great journalism school. I'm going to check it out. It's going to be fun, be different." So going from the West Coast to the Midwest was a new experience. And it was a little scary, because all I knew of Missouri was of some of the people who come out of Missouri, as far as like news goes, and the odd person I'd seen from whoever I follow online. But on top of that, all I really knew is what happened recently, such as things in Ferguson and St. Louis, and lots of different things had been going on in the area, a part of Black America, a part of the really hot button issues that are going on in social media and reporting, and just the general argument for how are Black Americans being treated. And I was like, man, I'm going straight into like the eye of the storm. But coming here, I feel safer. I feel more comfortable here than I did in California. And part of that is because here I am, one of the organizations I'm a part of is MBMI. It's the Missouri Black Man Initiative, and sitting with like 29 other black students that attend the school, and we have our classes, it's nice, it's comforting, it's great to be able to have real conversations with other young black men, because I didn't have that really growing up. I have someone I can look at, and I can see some of myself in them because they've gone through similar things to me. To be able to look at someone and go, I understand how you feel because I've gone through the same thing, and know that that's like it's not that it's so much rare as it's uncommon, because it's a very specific type of experience to have. It's been nice. And another thing that I appreciate about coming out here, as well as just coming to college in general, is having discussions. Because for the most part, we're all adults here. We're all adults. And I feel like if you can't have a discussion about something controversial, then you're shutting yourself off from all of this potential learning experiences that you're given. While not every conversation will be calm, and not every conversation will be the best or thought out, you have an opportunity to learn from it. Having a discussion about race, gender, sexuality, all of it, anything and everything underneath the sun, it's good. And I've had a couple of those with like my PA, other people on my floor, the occasional person in a class, and it's nice. And I feel like that's a part of high school and growing up in a kind of, not a sheltered area, but an area with a very shut off kind of mentality, I didn't really get that. If I did, it was someone who was using the internet or outside sources to try to teach themselves about other people. And the fact that I have so many different cultures to look at and people to talk to, it makes a big difference. And that's another point I wanted to make. Interacting with people inside of your race and outside of your race, but like doing those at the same time, that's very important to do. Because I don't know about you, but shutting yourself off from a whole group of people just because they are either viewed negatively or you don't feel comfortable with them initially, I feel like it's ludicrous. It's absolutely crazy. Because if I said, oh man, I only want to talk to black people because everyone else, that's too much. That's too many people. That's just, I can't fathom having all of those interactions with people who I can't relate to initially. No, don't do that. Don't do that at all, because if you feel for one moment that you have nothing to offer them and they have nothing to offer you, you're wrong, because everyone has at least one thing, and I'll say this again, one thing that you don't know they can teach you. And vice versa, if you feel like you can't interact with people from your own race, that's a personal issue, but it's neglecting a part of your own identity. It's neglecting a part of who you are. And I feel like that's something that's one's own personal hurdle, but it's something you shouldn't do. Like, coming here, I was excited because for the first time I was like, wow, I get to be who I am and not be made fun of and not be questioned. I get to interact with people who've gone for similar things, and this is a group of people who, no matter what, I can look at them and go, hey, we're cool, we're good, hey, how's it going? The main point of this is remain aware. Always look for conversations so you can learn about not only how your perspective differs from the others around you, but how you can start to change the way you view things if you feel like you're too shut off from what's going on in the world. But also, don't assume. Never assume. Always investigate. Assume is the death of ideas. It really, honestly, that's all I can really say about that. But this is how things are going to go for this type of thing. Not really talking. I don't know what it's going to become. But I want to do one next week, or possibly this weekend, if I have time. Talked about race and perspective this episode. I would like to talk about relationships and sexuality next week. That would be fun. I want to see if I can bring in a friend of mine, as well as, since it would be relevant, my girlfriend. I know I'm not as personal as I could be on this channel, so that's what this will probably be for. Bringing in parts of myself as well as talking about things and getting good conversations going. As far as a personal update goes, I've been in college for like almost a month now. Not too much has changed. I already said I'm in a relationship. Nope, that's about it. I mean, I'm a journalism major in with an emphasis right now of documentary journalism. That's an in-process thing. I would like to be a film minor next year on top of doing something maybe in photojournalism, but as far as that goes, this is all I have for now. Check back in either a couple days or this time next week. Signing off, guys. Have a good morning and a good evening and a good night, depending on when you're watching this.